Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard Podcast with the host Collin and Braden Cox. And postseason 2023 MLB starts tomorrow as we record here on Monday, the 2nd of October. And Braden and I, in this episode, we're going to fill out our brackets and make our predictions and try to figure out who's going to take it all in this 2023 MLB postseason. We're both super excited. A lot of good games, especially in the wild card to start. Really a toss-up between a lot of the series here, so it's going to be fun to see what we get right and what we get wrong here. I think we'll get right into it. Bray, how are we feeling?
Despite our Yankees not participating, I feel like I haven't been this excited for a postseason in a long time because there's a lot of teams in here that I could see making a run. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of teams that, we're not used to necessarily seeing be kind of at the top of those teams that people, legitimately think might win the World Series. So I'm excited overall.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen right now, and we're going to be on the MLB.com app filling out the bracket. So I'm going to share my screen and get right into it. All right, Bray, can you see it?
I can see it.
All right, so this first pick, ignore that for now. That was from I was playing around with it before. It won't let me change. It will let me change it, but it won't let me delete it. So I just gotta live with it. So I guess I'll get started here. So obviously the Orioles 1 seed have the bye in the AL, and then Rays Rangers. This was honestly one of the toughest picks. There was a lot of tough picks, but I feel like this one is just such a toss up. Rays have the home field advantage being the 4 seed. Rangers, they were hot and cold all year. They had the lead in the West for a long time, but
they blew it.
The Houston with the last week of the season ended up taking the West again, the 2 seed. So, with that being said, Rangers 165 run differential, Rays 195 run differential, so pretty similar numbers there. And this one's basically a coin flip. The Rays have better pitching all round, but I think the Rangers have better hitting all round. And I don't know why. I'm just going to go with the Rangers here. No particular reason. Like I said, this one's basically a coin flip. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Rangers, and then they'll be facing the Orioles in the ALDS. And then I guess that takes us to Twins, Blue Jays. This one, again, another toss-up.
All of these are pretty much most of these are toss-ups. They're all fun matchups.
It's going to be fun, especially 2 to 3 series. So every game is really important. And with every game being really important, it comes down to pitching and timely hitting. And I think when I first filled this out, I think I had the Blue Jays winning. But then I looked at the run differentials, and the Twins have a 119 run differential, and the Jays have a 75 run differential. Very similar pitching ERAs. But Braden, the Twins were 7-3 in their last 10 games going into the playoffs. The Blue Jays were 4-6, a little colder. Yep. Kinda got a little cold at the end there. Facing our Yankees, I think they lost that series. So I'm gonna go with the Twins. They're a little hotter right now. I know it's just the AL Central, not as competitive as the AL East, but I still like the Twins playing at home. Blue Jays a little bit unexperienced. And also, I'd rather see the Twins win. I think I said before I don't want the Blue Jays to be in at all. So this is kind of going with just the Twins here. Just AL East kind of thing, maybe a little bit biased. So neither of my AL East teams are advancing in the first round here. So that brings us to the NL side of things. Braves, the 1 seed with the bye. But I really, really like this Phillies-Marlins matchup. Between all the wild card teams that were competing between the Cubs, Reds, Padres, Marlins, Diamondbacks, I think the Marlins will give the Phillies the best competitiveness overall.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
And then so they're just 2 different types of rosters. Phillies are pretty much long ball or nothing here, and the Marlins are a little more scrappy, get base hits more, not as many home runs as Phillies, but they get on base and they score runs and know how to produce. I do think this one's going to go 3 games. I think people are probably sleeping on the Marlins a little bit. They got hot at the end of the season there, kind of secured their playoff berth within the last week. But Brayden, the Marlins have a negative 56 run differential.
Yep.
This is going to play a huge factor into this.
You're stealing all my stats.
I think the Phillies roster is just too deep for the Marlins to handle. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Marlins win. But if I had to bet, I would take the Phillies here.
And the roster.
It's also in Philly, so I guess you got to roll Phillies here.
Yeah, and I have my bracket and I'll add my points here. But in the season series, I think these two teams played each other 13 times. The Marlins won 7 of those. So it's pretty even, but the Marlins do have the edge there. But like you said, the fact that you got to play in Philly, Red October, I don't know.
It's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Going to be tough.
Especially for a young team like that. Yeah. And then that brings us to the last set of games for the wild card, Brewers D-backs. This one, Brewers have the better pitching. Brewers have the better hitting. D-backs were hot and cold all year. Snuck into the playoffs last week over my Cubbies. We're not going to get into that. But for no particular reason, how there's always that one upset for no reason. For some reason, just the better team doesn't win. I just have a feeling it's going to be this D-backs over Brewers. D-backs had the Rookie of the Year. They got Christian Walker. Ketel Marte. So they have a good team. Brewers have better pitching, not as great of hitting as these other teams. Better hitting the Diamondbacks, but for some reason, my gut's telling me to go with the D-backs here.
And a little NL West, NLDS action.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I guess I'll take us back. I'll go back to the top.
Yeah, go up to the AL. Yeah, for sure.
So Orioles, Rangers. This is another tough one. I just really like what I've seen from the Orioles, especially since after the All-Star break, and I don't think there's any slowing them down at this point. Rangers have the pitching. They have a little bit better pitching than the Orioles. But I think the Orioles are just too deep of a roster overall, and they're the hottest team in baseball right now, and you gotta keep rolling with them here. So I am gonna roll with the Orioles, especially playing in Camden Yards. I think it's gonna be rocking in Baltimore. First postseason berth in 8 or 9 years, I think.
Those will be fun games.
Yeah, so going to be fun games overall. Twins, Astros. Again, two similar teams here. The Twins have 119 run differential, like I said before. But the playoff experience of the Astros, it's going to play such a big factor, especially in these 3 of 5, 4 of 7 games. So even though the Astros barely snuck in as the AL West, as winning the AL West, I do think the Astros are going to pull it out based on experience. They had a little bit of a slow start, but they figured it out and then ended up getting the 2 seed in the last week of the season. So I'm going to roll with the Astros. A lot of experience, and you just can't pick against them, against a team like the Twins. So Braves, Phillies. This is probably going to be the matchup of the year. It's a best 3 out of 5. Which I don't like for the Braves, especially playing a team like the Phillies.
Great, 100%.
But the Braves, they're obviously going to... I think they're the favorite to win it all, especially the AL, or the NL, sorry. But I think the Braves lead the league in almost every offensive category.
Yeah.
Home runs, on base, slugging percentage, almost every major one. Home runs, I think... literally every single one except for doubles and triples.
Something like that, yeah.
But yeah, the Braves they're just too good. Unless they have a really, really bad choke. I just can't see the Phillies beating them back-to-back years. But you never know. I think if there is one team that will give the Braves a run for their money, it's the Phillies and the Dodgers.
Especially in a best of 5.
And the Phillies roster is super deep. But I think the Braves, if they've played like they have all regular season, I can't see them losing to the Phillies again. So I'm going to go with the Braves here. And then D-backs, Dodgers. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the Dodgers. I know they are the 2 seed, but all I'm hearing is Braves. Don't sleep on the Dodgers, man, because they have 2, besides Acuna, right? They have probably the other MVPs who would have been MVPs in Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Hitting 1-2. Freddie led the league in doubles. They have experienced both Freddie and Mookie. Mookie won a ring with the with the Red Sox, and Freddie won a ring with the Braves, actually. So I'm going to roll with the Dodgers over the D-backs. I think the D-backs are just too young. I know that I have them winning that upset in the first round, but I just think they're too young. It's not quite their time, but it was a good run for them. But the Dodgers they're just too complete of a team. So that brings us to the ALCS, Orioles, Astros. This would be a super fun. I don't even know who I'd root for in this game. I think I'd root for the Orioles.
So would I.
Just because obviously being Yankees fans, I don't have as much hate for the Orioles as I do like Red Sox, Astros, Blue Jays, Rays.
That's fair.
Astros playoff experience is gonna be a big factor in this, but the Orioles, I feel like they have a more complete team. Not as good as pitching as the Astros, but definitely better hitting, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I am in a best-of-7 series in Camden, having the home field advantage. I am going to roll with the Orioles over the Astros. Even though the Astros have that experience, this is also a little biased to me because I don't want to see the Astros in the World Series again. But yeah, I'm just going to roll with the Orioles. They're super hot. Hottest team in baseball besides the Braves, and I'm just going to keep rolling with them. And then this is probably going to be, if this happens, this is probably a super fun series. I think this one would go 7 games. I think people are really sleeping on the Dodgers a little bit, maybe because we're East Coast and we don't hear as much about them. But Braves, again, are just, I don't know. This one was probably one of the toughest picks for me because the Dodgers won 100 games this year, right? And they still, like I said before, they have Freddie, they got Mookie, they got Kike back.
They score a lot of runs.
They score a lot of runs. It's going to be such a fun series to watch if this happens. But I am going to roll with the Braves. I just think they're that much better, and they're so deep in their roster. Like there's no one that doesn't give you a threat if there's runners on base or even that can't go yard. So I'm going to roll with the Braves over the Dodgers. And I do think that one would go 7 games, though, but it would be a super fun series to watch. And then World Series, I know a little bit boring, my Final Four, because I had the 1-2 seed, but that's kind of just what I was rolling with. Got to roll with the hot teams, especially going into the playoffs. But Braves, Orioles, I know the Braves are the favorite, but I am going to roll with them. They're just so good offensively, like I said before, and it's going to be that game. I think that series will be a lot of runs scored, not a lot of pitching will be on display, but I feel like there'll be a lot of runs scored. And I think an Orioles-Braves World Series would be great for the game.
I agree.
Especially for viewership purposes and ratings. I just think it'll be a mash fest between those two teams. So yeah, I'm rooting for that matchup in the World Series. I'm gonna go with the Braves here, taking it all in 2023.
I like your bracket, and I agree what you said about the World Series pick with the Orioles and Braves, because we're used to talking about New York, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, right? And not that those teams aren't relevant, right? But we got Baltimore, Maryland, and we got Atlanta, Georgia. We got 2 markets that aren't, the Braves have been to the World Series, they're relevant and all that. But, I think the Orioles making it to the World Series would be super fun, even as a Yankees fan.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be good for the game overall.